Hello and welcome to your IBMI update for April 2025, a snapshot of news and views on what's been happening in the IBMI community in the past few weeks as reported by Proximity, your premier partner for IBMI application support and development. Now, on April 10th of 2025, we enjoyed the IBMI Next presentation by IBMI's Chief Technical Officer, Steve Will. Steve was joined by Steve Wolk, the Chief Technical Officer for PC Richard & Son, and Steve Bradshaw, IBMI Champion, IOX Technical Director, and all-round friendly techie. Together they provided insights into the evolution of the platform and what's coming next. And it was all about evolution rather than revolution, as IBMI 7.6 was announced. In 7.6 we have some really neat updates in the latest version, but by far the most prominent and perhaps the most requested feature was with MFA. This now fully integrated multi-factor authentication was added to strengthen your security posture, providing robust defense against ransomware and unauthorized access while minimizing vulnerabilities and protecting critical data. On this, Steve Bradshaw said,
"So this is a wonderful tool. It is absolutely rock solid. It's built into the core. And going back to my favorite thing, Navigator, it's actually easy to deploy. You know, we're getting QR codes where you just scan it and it's now in your phone, and recovery codes that you can copy and paste and store in your password vault of choice. So, yeah, IBMI looks like every other platform now does when it comes to that security. It's inbuilt, it's easy to collaborate with, but it is gosh darn secure."
And while MFA is the real highlight for 7.6, there were some more enhancements to discuss. Streamlined regulatory compliance, for example, this feature is to provide advanced authentication and advanced user profile protection to simplify adherence to more stringent regulatory requirements. And of course, should you leverage the built-in MFA and other security features, this translates to lower costs and simplifies management, thereby reducing your TCO, or total cost of ownership. And there's more. In application development, IBM explained that they've delivered significant updates for developers to leverage modern methodologies and techniques, and that there are new and updated cryptographic services on APIs too to reinforce the enhancements in security. But what if you're a system administrator? Well, there are enhancements there too. Navigator for I is fully updated and now supports MFA, providing secure remote management capabilities. I'll pass you back to Steve, who has more.
So I'd really like to champion here the Navigator for I. I know it's been around for a number of releases, and a lot of the new functions that have been developed in the 7.6 timeframe are being passed back to previous releases. But it is absolutely vital in today's world. Now, it's vital for two reasons. One, we're always hearing about the skills gap and training new people up. And yeah, I'm the same here. I've got a guy who's been with me for just 2 weeks, coming fresh from university. And on his second day, he was challenging me as to why this particular SSH service didn't start automatically. Now, if I'd have had to take him through the command line as to how to start, stop, reconfigure that, it would have been a complicated process. He'd have had to take notes. In the Navigator interface, I literally hit search, look for the service I'm after, right-click properties, auto start, check, done. I have someone who's been on the job for 2 days that can now do a job that would have taken someone with a skilled interface and an understanding of a command line weeks to get to that point.
Thank you, Steve. In addition, there's now a proactive license management with license expiration information and warnings being more prominently displayed, and so avoids disruptions while providing continuous operations. And finally, we have secure connection interfaces. There are new interfaces to facilitate secure connections to IBMI, simplifying system administration tasks. So, For all those who are getting excited for version 8 and Power 11 announcements, get back behind the stable doors. These were very much business as usual, but progressively good enhancements. And what do you need to run 7.6? Well, it'll be supported on selected IBM Power servers with IBM Power 10 technology-based processors. Set the date in your calendar as it's planned for availability from April the 18th. So many of you have noticed that there has been a situation unfolding in America, where a recently formed agency, the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, is attempting to replace over 60 million lines of COBOL code at the Social Security Administration, SSA. To give you an idea of the importance of this code, every month it reliably handles payments to over 65 million Americans. Now, according to Wired, DOGE plan is to swap COBOL for a modern language like Java in record time, aiming to complete the transition within just a few months. Now, COBOL's been the engine behind SSA's operations since 1980. It's old, yes, but it works, and in systems this critical, working beats shiny every single time. The concern from industry veterans, well, ripping out a system this complex without clear and cautious migration plan could cause underpayments, overpayments, or missed payments altogether. As Wired points out, even small bugs could have a catastrophic consequence. However, Elon Musk thinks differently and suggests that AI will be the magic bullet for replacing the COBOL. But is this poppycock, or could this actually work? Well, in 2023, IBM have championed watsonx as a code assistant on Z to convert COBOL into Java. As an article, it develops. Not only will it convert code, but it improves the syntax of the Java code generated using object-oriented techniques. So, a positive step. Well, there are considerations, as while AI can help modernize COBOL with documentation and so on, it doesn't dissect or decode decades worth of business or edge case logic. So the problems aren't just about the language, it's the assumptions behind the migration. COBOL systems like SSAs are deeply interwoven within business rules, legacy databases, and decades of operation reality. Any modernization effort that skips discovery, testing, and validation is, well, simply asking for trouble. You need the skilled developers to translate the intent behind the code, not just the syntax. As Heisrus reported, experts are questioning the timeline, the methods, and the lack of contingency. Because let's face it, you can't just throw ChatGPT at 60 million lines of COBOL and call it a day. And with this in mind, this supposedly 4 months project is more likely to take 4 years plus. However, it is great to see attention on legacy modernization. We've been championing just this within the IBMI community for years, but modernizing it isn't just about speed, it's about understanding. So Elon Musk says AI will replace COBOL maybe one day, but for now, AI's role is more apprentice rather than architect. It can help guide the rebuild, but needs more experienced developers to make sure the roof just doesn't cave in. Finally, I met with IBMI champion and Forta stalwart Mike Davison to discuss the recent Forta IBMI marketplace survey and asked, what did he learn from the results?
Astoundingly, there is a record high of 96% satisfaction in the platform. So that message is getting across that the IBMI is reliable, scalable, and the power platform that it sits on gives a great ROI for customers. Also, cybersecurity and skills issues have been consistently at the top for the last 5 years, and I think they're the main concerns for customers.
But were there any surprises?
Not really a surprise, but sort of in line with that 96% satisfaction with the platform. The percentage of those planning to increase their IBMI footprint has jumped from 12 to 20%, so an 8% increase this year. which is great for the platform.
Now, security, it's always been consistently a top concern for IBMI users. Have you noticed any shifts in how companies are addressing security challenges compared to previous years?
Well, malware and ransomware have been a huge concern, especially for the last 5 years, I've noticed. Most companies, as a matter of compliance, are inevitably deploying software to protect things like exit points on the eye and antivirus to prevent the inevitable ransomware attacks, because it's not a case of if, it's going to be a case of, it's always a case of when. And when working with my customers, I'm seeing much better security practices than I did last year and the year before. Things like 2FA and MFA being used, no use of the QSEC offer account, authority broker type software being deployed. So people work with their minimum privileges and then have to elevate to the security account to do those system administration tasks. So I'm seeing a better security posture all round, and that's really good news.
Now, with compliance requirements like DORA emerging, how well prepared do you think IBMI shops are for evolving regulatory demands?
Security being the top concern for customers, with 77%, I believe it was this year. So regulations are forcing customers to do what they should be doing anyway. So it can only be a good thing. And it can be a maze to navigate all these different regulations in different countries. But I believe that customers have a hand on it, and they're employing people specifically to look at these regulations. I'm seeing more and more people in my line of work, which is administration and security, referring back to their security and compliance teams all the time. And they say, yeah, they're a pain, we've got to do this, but it's a cost of doing business these days.
Now, the survey shows that modernization remains a priority for many IBMI users. What are your thoughts on what the biggest roadblocks companies face when modernizing their systems?
Attitude.
Right.
It's the attitude of the people holding the purse strings, which is the biggest roadblock in my opinion. Us techies and middle managers need to become more eloquent enough to argue the case of why the IBM I on Power is a modern platform, and advocate for modernization of the applications rather than replacing shift and lift into Wintel or Linux on x86. If customers have already invested in the Power platform, which gives a great ROI, why swap out and go through that whole process when you can simply modernize? We need to become better at advocating for the platform and ensuring that message gets through to those people who are saying, well, this is quite expensive and it looks really old, so let's get rid of it, and say, no, it's actually really, really modern. We just need to modernize our apps.
Do you think companies are making progress in attracting and training the next generation of IBMI professionals?
Well, IBMI skills, that they're in high demand, and no, I do not think we are doing enough. It's that message we need to get across. We need to get that message across that it's a great platform to work on, and a good career can be made on the IBMI. I've been telling people now or the youngsters, I'm knocking on myself, for over 10 years now, that if you work on IBMI, you should never be out of work. You look at Windows and Linux, which are dead easy to learn. There's a vast quantity of people have those skills, but IBMI, because it's not so well known, and again, it's about that message, it's old, why should I work on it? But if you have those IBMI skills, you'll never be out of work because people are in high demand. I've been to Common Europe Congress now for the last 5 years, and I'm seeing youngsters coming through. And they're excited about the platform, which is absolutely fabulous, but we still need to continue that work.
And in fact, with AI, automation, and emerging technologies evolving quickly, how do you see IBMI fitting into their broader IT landscape over the next decade?
Well, I believe that IBMI, based on past history, it will continue to be a reliable and stable platform. In my opinion, it's what we call a steady Eddie. and that's what
Right.
that's what its customers need. Things
Yes.
like banks, manufacturing, supply chain, they need technology that is reliable and stable, and that's what IBM Ion Power gives. However, the technology is already increasing. So Power 10 and Power Next, and the roadmap is there so that the underlying tech matches pace with the evolving technology, like having AI embedded on the chips and the disks and the underlying hardware. I believe the customers of IBM I want consistency, reliability, good return on investment, and technology advances, which IBM continue to deliver.
Terrific. I like the steady Eddie, that's for sure. And finally, based on this year's survey's results, what advice would you give to IBM I users looking to future-proof their system and stay competitive for the next 5 to 10 years?
That's a really easy question, and the answer is stay current. Technology changes all the time. So we've been in this industry, I've been in this industry for over 35 years, and we all know the technology develops continually, and upgrading is a cost of doing business. Okay, so you have to accept that and have that rolling program to ensure you patch your system regularly to prevent vulnerabilities getting in. Upgrade to the latest OS. We know that IBM I Next is just around the corner, and Power 10 Next or Power Next is on the roadmap, and that's coming. So upgrade your operating system, get the new hardware when the ROI on your existing hardware starts to diminish, and in the long term it's cheaper to maintain and upgrade than to face a massive OS jump that might take 2 or 3 jumps and a hardware switch on systems that are out of date. I'm sad to say I continually meet customers on very old releases, IBM I 5.4 as one example.
Yes, I know of someone, top trumps, I can beat you. I know someone on 5.3.
Oh, well done. And IBM AX that also runs on Power. I'm seeing very old releases of the software, of the operating system rather. It's running on hardware and OSs that are no longer supported by IBM. So people are either running blind, where if it breaks, they are done, or they are paying huge amounts to IBM for additional extra services or employing companies to provide those services for them. And these are critical business systems.
Yes.
Don't let it happen to them. Don't let it happen. No. Stay current is the message.
Terrific advice. And Mike, thank you for your time and joining the IBM I update today.
You're very welcome, Andy. Nice to chat.
Thank you very much.
My thanks to Mike for his time and insight into the IBM I. And that's it for this month's update. For more like this, please see our blog on the Proximity website. But for now, I'm Andrew Nicholson. We're Proximity, the IBM I partners that are in your corner. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.